Hey everybody, welcome back. Been a minute since I made a video. Father's Day, 50th birthday, getting old as hell. So first off, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you have any questions or comments, you can hit me up at foxjunk73@gmail.com, or you can ask it below. Either way is fine. So today we're getting back on Project Phoenix. She sat behind me. I did sell the car. The guy that bought the car decided he wants me to paint it. So with that being said, today we're going to talk about the proper way to paint a car. Now, I've talked about this in my past videos. You OGs have been watching all my videos. You probably get tired of this redundancy, but for you new guys who haven't went back and watched any of my old videos on the Calypso Coupe, Project Big Red, Project Field Snake, all these other cars that I've restored over the past year or two, I'm going to go ahead and do some refresh video on Project Phoenix. This car is original paint. It's never been painted. So basically, 92, 93, maybe even 91, Ford decided to use chip guard on the roof, tops of the fenders, deck lids, and for whatever reason, I don't know why. So if you see a lot of 92, 93, especially cars with original paint, they start to get checking and cracking in the hood and the roof and the hatches. Anything that's exposed to direct sunlight a lot. The sides of the cars seem to hold up better than the tops, but the tops of the cars, they get cracks and all kinds of stuff in it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So a lot of you guys that have cars have been painted 2 or 3 times. I'm going to tell you this: strip the car to bare metal. I've watched Brew2l's video of his black tuxedo Fox, and that car's been painted like 10 times. And I watched him spend hours chasing feather edge and paint and doing this and doing that. If you've got a car that's got 30-year-old paint on it, I don't care if it's original paint and you're planning on having your car painted. I got a buddy in Utah that's having original Celine painted. They're painting over 40-year-old paint. The shit's it's done, guys. It's been in the sun, it's baked, it needs to go down the middle and do it right. I'm not saying there's not foxes out there that if you're just making a race car or whatever, but if you're trying to do it right and build a nice car that you want to take to cruise ins and meets and all that stuff, it needs to be done right. And if you don't do it right and somebody says, hey, what's this, at a show or something, don't get upset that they pointed out flaws in your work, because it is what it is. If you're going to do half-ass work, you're going to get half-ass results, and that's just the brutal, honest truth. No pun intended, but that's how it came out. So I'm going to show you I've got a fender that's been painted, I think, twice. I'm not using this fender. It's an old rusty fender on the bottom. I'm just using this as an example. I'm going to hit it with some 80 grit and show you what I mean about trying to feather edge and chase stuff. So when you got a car that's got a lot of paint on it and you sand through it for a chip or a scratch or whatever, and you're going through 2 or 3 layers of paint, to get that even with the top coat, you've either got to fill it in with a filler, a glaze and putty, or a lot of primer. To me, I'd rather spend an extra 30 minutes on a fender, strip it to bare metal. I don't got to chase none of that shit, and I know it's done right at the end of the day. Why waste your time if you're going to do the project? Just do it right the first time and get it over with. But again, if you're building a race car and you don't give a shit, that's fine too. But keep in mind, every bit of paint you put on it, a gallon of paint weighs how much? It ain't light, I can tell you that. So if you've got 5 or 6 gallons of paint on your car and you're trying to chase that extra tenth, it might be in the paint. Who knows? So I'm just saying. So I'm going to show you this original fender. I've already got the replacement trunk lid. I stripped it to bare metal, had a couple dents. I'm going to block it today. I'm going to do the front fenders today, get them stripped to bare metal, get the moldings, emblems, and all that stuff off. But I'll show you this black fender that I think's been painted. I'm going to sand a spot on that and show you what I mean by chasing nice smooth surfaces and what I mean by that. And I've got the original red fender for the passenger side. I'll show you. You can see through it's got a thin spot on top. You can see the chip guard and primer, and then I'll sand through that and show you that as well. So let's check this out real quick. All right, so that's the original red paint on the fender. If you come over here, you can see this is a ding. Got another ding over here. I do that when I strip all my fenders. I'll lay them out and try to find my dings, and then I'll circle them and then strip it around that. I'll strip all this to metal. I'll leave this red, and then I'll hit that with some 36 on a roll lock, fix the dent, and I'm done. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. This is the primer they use, and underneath this there's a chip guard. I'm going to sand that down and show it to you. So this is a fender I'm talking about, old rusty crusty. I'm going to strip this down. You can see this fender's been painted a couple times, so I'm going to strip it up here and show you how thick this paint is on these fenders. So if you want to hang tight, and show you about chasing stuff. So again, I don't mean to be harsh or whatever, but if you guys want a nice product and a nice end result, you got to do it right. That's just this. That's just it. If I go to a car show and I see a car that's painted black and it's wavy as shit, and I can tell that they just didn't do it right, you know, that's just a harsh reality of doing paint and bodywork correct. So I'm going to sand this spot on this original red fender and do one on the black one, and show you what I'm talking about. So if y'all want to chill out and relax and hang with me, we'll see what's going on. All right, so I'll set you guys up on camera a little bit. I'll show you old trusty DA 80 grit. I'm going to take this down to, I'm going to feather this to show you this chip guard Ford uses and the brown primer, and I'm going to take a spot of that down and show you how thick 1 or 2 paint jobs is on a panel when you're trying to chase a chip or whatever with primer. Okay, so this is kind of a bad example on this black fender. I thought it had been painted because it's got an aftermarket pinstripe on it. There we go thinking. I know it's had some repairs because there's some filler in it, so I'm trying to find a bad spot. Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to bring the camera back over here real quick. Show y'all what I'm talking about. So bear with me for a second. Alright, so on the stock fender, you got the original red paint. This is single stage. Then this brown shit right here, that's a chip guard they put under it. And if you look down through there, you can see it's starting to crack. And then underneath the chip guard they use, for whatever reason, you got their E-coat / primer they paint over normally. Now, this fender over here, when I talk about chasing paint, all right, this fender here, you've got repaint, primer, original paint, factory primer, because this fender doesn't have the E-coat or the chip guard on it. So if you're trying to feather it, this is just, now keep in mind, this is just one blend-in spot, one repaint. When I was watching this video, that car had been painted like 5 times. So imagine 5 layers of paint and you're trying to smooth it up, especially a black car, and you're trying to feather edge something like that. You're going to spend hours trying to block sand this part. Versus me, that trunk lid, I stripped it to bare metal. I'll show you the trunk real quick. So I stripped this to bare metal. I fixed a couple dents, and you can't even see the dents that I fixed. And that was after blocking it with 80 and then 180 and then 3 coats of 2K. Well, I put etch primer, then 2K. So that's how straight it is. I hadn't blocked it yet. So imagine if I had 8 or 9 low spots with build-up paint that I was trying to fill in with primer and all that other stuff and block that in. So if you're trying to do a black car or either red car or whatever, any car really, and you're not nice, slick, straight finish, and you're sanding it, and you've got high spot, low spot, high spot, low spot, and you're continuously have to go back and fill that in with primer and then block it every time you sand through something. Take the 30 minutes and just, if you got a 40-year-old paint, the shit's done anyway. Take the extra time, do it right, strip it to metal, and be done with it. I'm going to block this, put some guide coat on this trunk lid, get it block sanded, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. So if y'all want to hang out, watch some of this video, I appreciate y'all watching. Appreciate y'all subscribing, and we're going to get Project Phoenix painted, looking good, and get it sent down to its new owner. Should turn out really nice. So let me get this trunk lid blocked, and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so a lot of people ask me what materials I use, how I go about blocking one, so I'll give you guys a quick rundown on this. I like to use either 180 or 220. If you want to cut a little faster, 180 cuts quicker than 220. It leaves a little more sand scratches. But if you're going to go back over it with, say, a piece of 220 DA paper, smooth it up, and then Scotch-Brite, then reprime it. For years, I've been using old paint sticks taped together. That's something my pops taught me before all these new founded rubber blocks and all that stuff came out. But this old school stuff, I'm old school, so it works for me. I've been doing it for years. You just lay it on the paper and just fold it. You know, it's basic elementary stuff. So for you guys that, yeah. So as far as blocking it, guide coat. Today I just threw some, you know, VHT flat black on there. You can use whatever you want, any kind of flat black, Walmart, dollar store, DG. You don't have to go to the paint store and spend $15 on a can of guide coat. Basically, you mist it on. You don't put it on heavy. You don't lay it on there. Just enough to give you a nice, you know, nice even guide. So if you've got, you know, if you've got any low spots or whatever, it'll show you your low spots, high spots. Doesn't take long for that stuff to tack up pretty quick, especially out here today. Basically, just lay the stick flat. You know, I spent hours block sanding. If you watch some of these, TV shows, everybody complains about, you know, block sanding or blocking. I had another pink stick in my pocket. But if they tell you, oh, block party, block sanding is where your money's made as far as your quality paint jobs and what stuff looks like when it's done and how it turns out. Your body work's very important too, but if your body work's not perfect and it's a little wavy, blocking is where it comes in on your 2K primer. That's why they came out with a good high solids build primer. I've seen this 2K I'm using is Omni 2K, it's NP282. It works great. I've actually filled in small little dings with 2 coats of 2K primer. It's let it cure. You're not gonna put this down, block it, and paint it the next day. If you do that, it'll probably turn out just fine, but down the road, longevity, you might see a sand scratch once it actually cures up and it gets really hard. You might see a sand scratch, you have to go back in and buff it or something. Normally when I do one of these cars, once everything's body work and all that's done, I'll let it set a week or two before I go in and wet sand and paint the car. That way I know everything's cured up. I don't have to worry about sand scratches chasing me down the road or something like that. But as far as blocking, super easy. Say just put the stick flat on the panel. You know, I gotta say, all you need to teach me how to do body work. Body work's something I can't teach you how to do. It's something you can either do or can't do. A lot of body work is in the feeling of your hands and how you feel the panel and what the panel's gonna turn out like when you're done. This trunk lid was pretty straight. It had quite a few small dings in it that I fixed. Like right now, you can see some sand scratches. You can show a panel in primer, you're not going to see it. But once you go to block it and cut it down, right in here, I'll lift this up. If you can see, I got some sand scratches where I fixed a dent here. There was a dent here, there's some, and there's one down here. So what I'm doing now as far as blocking, you're taking out your sand scratches, you're leveling the panel, and you're making sure that you didn't maybe miss a ding or maybe even creating one from your body work, because sometimes you can put too much filler in a low spot and create a high spot. That's the hard thing about using fillers. I call it don't chip fuse it. No offense to Chip, but watch his TV show. They'll take filler and they'll wipe it from one end of the door to the next, and then they'll hit it with the block and they'll block it all down. That's fine, but it's too much material. For those cars, they're show cars, they stay inside, they don't see any sunlight, they go to car shows and then they go back in the garage, that's it. But if you're putting that kind of material in a car and you expect it to sit out in the sun for it to last, there's no longevity. I don't care how many TV shows you watch or how long you've been doing it. But yeah, I'm going to knock this trunk lid out. I don't think you guys want to watch me block sand a damn trunk lid for an hour, because that's about how long it takes. Normally on a fender or trunk lid or hood or whatever, I'll normally put an hour in the strip along the middle, etch prime. If it's got any dings, strip the middle, fix your little dents, etch primer, let the etch primer cure for 20 or 30 minutes or whatever, how long you want. It depends on the temperature of the day. Then you go back over top with 2K, block it down. If you're happy with it, once is fine. You don't have to block it again. Now, if you're doing a black car and you want it super, super nice, sometimes I'll block 1, 2, or 3 times. I've done several black 93 Cobras over the years, and I normally block them 2 or 3 times. Any kind of dark color, Project Phoenix, it was blocked, or sorry, not Phoenix, but Project Field Snake, I blocked it twice. It was super straight car, but I wanted it to be really, really nice when it was done. This car's probably gonna get the same treatment. If it blocks out super nice with one time, I'm gonna leave it. but if I see some spots that I think need to be addressed, I'll hit it again and block it a second time. That's about it. I'm going to block this out and see what it looks like, and once I'm done with it, I'll show you what it blocked out like and if I got any low spots or high spots. But yep, I don't think you want to watch me sand. So again, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. We'll get back when this panel's done. Take care. All right, so I got the trunk lid blocked out. Looks really good. Probably going to block it one more time after this and call it done. So this will be a 2-block car, or at least the trunk lid. I'll show you the trunk lid. Now keep in mind, some of these trunk lids, especially on notchbacks, I've done quite a few of these cars, they're not flat. They've got some up towards the front, it's got a roll, and on the sides it kind of rolls up. So it's just like Fox body hoods. If you've ever painted a Fox where they roll in the front, they've got a weird kind of hump in it. So if you get to a point where you're trying to block something out, check the other side and make sure, see how the other side feels in that area, because 9 times out of 10, where they clamp these things together for the bottom side of the trunk lid and the hoods and doors and stuff, you'll get some funny rolls in the metal that you're not going to block out. That's just how the factory sheet metal is. Maybe you could beat it down with a hammer and fill it full of Bondo and make it completely flat across the, but I don't do that. So I'll show you what it looks like. Looks pretty good, and let me know what you guys think. All right, so this is the trunk lid. Like I said, I got it all blocked out pretty good. Now this right here, underneath the trunk, this is where it comes around like this underneath for the trunk reinforcement on the bottom. So like I said, you're going to get some roll. It rolls right here. It's not perfectly flat. From here to here, you got a slight roll. And over here on the other side, you see these spots right through here. Got the same roll. Now this is my etch primer that's under the 2K. These are not so much high spots as it is a roll area where it transfers from kind of flat to a roll right in here. And then also this trunk lids, they got a funny little roll right in here. They're not perfectly flat. I'll block them out as flat as I can get it, but keep in mind, like right in here when you're blocking, it comes down through here and it's got a little roll that rolls down. And it's like that all the way across. So if you're feeling a spot like that, if it feels the same from here to about right here, which this one, that's how it feels. That's how it's contoured, and that's how the metal rolls from the factory. So that's just kind of how it is. But yeah, pretty pleased so far with the trunk. I'll show you the other red one. I had another one I could use as a reference. It's got the same rolls in it, so if he wants the original trunk lid, it's pretty damaged in the back, but it is rust free. So yeah, that's just it. Quick breakdown. Showed you how to block sand, what I'm using. Again, OGs know what I'm doing or how I do it. This is just for you guys that haven't watched the channel a lot and you're not familiar with how to do paint and body work. I use Martin Senior etch primer. I use Omni 282 2K primer. On top of that, I normally do my dents, then I'll etch prime. You can put etch primer on top of filler. I don't put much on top of the filler, just a little bit, kind of like prime around it. And then the 2K on top. If you get any, I've got a couple sand through spots. I'll hit that with some, I've got, what I got over here. It's just Duplicolor self-etch primer. I'll just hit the bare metal and scuff it down a little bit with a scuff pad before I re-2K it. So if you got a few burn in, you don't have to use high dollar etch primer for a couple sand through spots. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is kind of what I mean by sand through. I've got some bare metal here. I've got one right here, a little bare metal spot. And I think that's about it. Yeah, rest of it is just etch primer. So yeah. So yeah, anytime you get a little bare metal spot like that, hit it with some etch primer. 2K doesn't stick to 2K primer doesn't stick to bare metal at all. At least this Omni does not. They say they've got some new 2K high build primer that does, but I've never tried it. Oh, and I've had people ask me how much I sand off. So if you see sand scratches and you know you've got 4 heavy coats, which is what I put on this trunk lid of 2K primer, keep sanding. See how much of you can get out. I got all my sand scratches out, no problem. I filled up a cup with, I cleaned the floor and I filled a paint cup up. I'll show you how much I got in there. So this is the paint cup. I mixed it 4-to-1 on the 2K primer. Where's that at? So it's right here. So this is how much Bondo dust I swept off the floor. Now keep in mind that's not all of it. Now when I mixed this cup, I think I mixed it for that trunk lid, 4 coats. I think I took it up to 4 primer, reducer, or heart activator, and reducer if you use reducer. So probably sanded off about 25% of that primer, maybe a little bit more. So normally 25% off that panel, that's quite a bit. I probably didn't get all of it off the floor that's in the cup, but that's just to give you guys a reference on how much I take off a panel when I sand it. So time wise, right now I've got close to 3 hours in this trunk lid, and I'm going to block it one more time. So I'll probably have 4.5 hours in, because I've been blocking this for about an hour, hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes. Took me an hour to strip it, an hour to fix the dents. So yeah, I'm close to 4 hours in it so far. I'll probably have a little more than it. So when I ask how much time you put in a car, or how long does it take, so you figure 4 to 6 hours per panel, especially doors, you do the backside, the jams, and all that stuff. Oh, and I got to paint the back of this in silver. Yeah, you put a lot of time and effort in this, in doing it right. So I'm just saying, if you're going to go through the process, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you're going to do it right. Take your time. You know, if you got a car that's been, hell, all these Fox bodies now, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. All these Fox bodies are 25 to 40 years old. The original paint is done. Get it down the middle. Do it right. Don't let your body go, oh, it's still good paint. I've done 86 model single stage cars with 20,000 miles and stripped in metal, and I've had a little surface rust where the paint is cracked so far you can barely tell it, and there's rust under that original paint. So if it's old, it's time to go. Do it right. Coach used to say, do it right, do it light, do it wrong, do it long. Anytime you do these panels the wrong way, you're going to spend way more time doing it, trying to make them straight, filling in low spots. It just isn't worth the effort. So yeah, not to beat a dead horse. Thanks for watching this video. I'm going to do the fenders probably this afternoon, so I'll get a little more content out this week. I've got some of my stuff I'm working in and out with this car. He knows that. So I'm going to be working on this and a couple of things I got going on my own. So yeah, that's it for Project Phoenix for right now. I'm going to get the fenders stripped down the middle, get the couple small dings they got, and get them blocked. And then I'm going to do the roof and the quarters at the same time, and then the doors and the hood, and the body be done. So it shouldn't take too long. I'm trying to hope to have it done probably in the middle of August, hopefully. Be about a month. So it takes time to do it right, especially when you got other stuff going on. But thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you have any questions, again, foxjunk73@gmail.com, or you can ask me below and I'll be happy to answer them. What materials I use, sandpaper, yada, yada, yada. It is what it is. Thanks again. I hope everybody's had a good weekend, and yeah, take care.